Hello and welcome to the Flix Forum podcast, where each episode we usually go back and we check out a Netflix original film in the order of release. But this is a special bonus episode where we're looking at the actual Netflix coverage for the SAG Awards from 2023, or the 30th award version of that show. I'm Jesse, I'm your host. We're almost, 24 hours after the show now, so hopefully you've managed to watch it. It apparently is on Netflix for the next 30 days to go back and stream if you like. So let's have a chat, I guess, about who won, what the show was like. Did Netflix do a good job? I don't know. We'll have to sort of wait and see. But I guess, the actual show, 2 hours, and I was surprised. I didn't realize it was going to be an hour red carpet sort of countdown to the show. So that sort of added an extra hour worth of watching time. But let's just go through the actual show, what happened, sort of talk it down step by step, and sort of head towards, I guess, whether it was good coverage or not. The first hour, as I mentioned before, it was literally an hour of red carpet, sort of hosted by Elaine Weltworth and Tan France. So they talked about how it's commercial free, and these guys are both from the fashion world, so everything they were talking about was more about to do with the outfits. And they mentioned they were using this style cam. So in between interviewing people on the red carpet, the screen would split, and on the left-hand side of the screen would get people walking in and showing off what they're wearing without any real commentary, I guess, about who they were or what they were wearing. So that was an interesting sort of move. They did talk about, at the end of the red carpet award, that they would announce their top 3 outfits of the night. So that was a nice little touch. They went through some best looks from the past. So they had like Jennifer Aniston from 1999, Taraji P. Henson from 2017, Tracy Ellis 2018, Margot Robbie, etc. So, and the other thing, I guess, they had that clock, the countdown clock, that pretty much went from an hour down to the start of the show as it was going. So, people they spoke, Elaine, she spoke with Ali Wong, who was obviously nominated for Beef. They talk about both being from the Bay Area, San Francisco, both being Asian women, talk about, what it's like being mums, tomboys. Then we cut to Tan, who was with Glenn Powell, made some jokes about his tan. Talked about Top Gun a little bit, whether it's likely to have a sequel, and Tan gave him this corsage to put in his hands. I thought that was a little bit weird. Then we go back to Elaine, who was with Coleman Domingo, double nominee for Rustin and The Colour Purple. Talked about, how good he is in a leading role. Then we had that style cam going off in a split, which was a little bit distracting again. They talked about the importance of Rustin, American history, how the film was made with the support of the Obamas. Then Cillian Murphy just comes over as well, so that was cool. They sort of love each other. They talk about how much they love each other, and Coleman sort of just walks off with the mic awkwardly, so that was funny. They get it back and give it to Cillian Murphy, who's also a double nominee for Oppenheimer. So they talk about the film. They talk about this Oppen homies, where it's like the idea that the cast, they call themselves homies as they travel the world for the award shows too. We had that style come back again, and then we go to Tam with Elizabeth Debicki, double nominee for The Crown. She plays Diana in that show, Netflix original television show as well. She talks about how much she loves the show, blah blah blah. For me, she looked a little unhealthy. I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. I don't remember her looking that unhealthy before. But then we cut back to Elaine, who's with Jessica Chastain. Liked her. She added a little bit of enthusiasm. Talks about her look. Style cam again. Then we get Elaine sort of saying, you won the award last year. And Jessica Chastain's like, nah, it wasn't last year. It was a couple of years ago. So that was funny. They talk about her presenting. They talk about honouring Barbara Streisand in the show too. And how much Jessica Chastain actually loves Streisand too. Then Bradley Cooper just walks over and Jessica Chastain interviews him. So that was cool. Talk about what's next. And he makes some joke about wanting to do a movie with Will Arnett. Then we went back to Tan. We had Alan Ruck for Succession with his wife. They talk about the wife's dress. Alan Ruck talks about getting starstruck, and he's asked about, social media. Apparently the talk is that Succession is getting a movie. So that was a little trying to get some spoiler info, but nothing there. Then we head back to Elaine, who was with some chick who I didn't know until they put her name on the screen a little bit later on, Rachel Brosnan. So she talked about Anne Hathaway, and she's from Marvelous Miss Maisel. I talk about the show coming to an end, and that she's actually done a table read for Superman Legacy and seen the Superman suit. So that was a nice little spoiler there too. Back with Tan, who's with Juno Temple, 4th nomination for... apparently, for Ted Lasso. It's the last season. Then we go back to Elaine. She's with Hannah Waddingham from Ted Lasso as well, the Apple TV show. We see the style cam again. Hannah Waddingham's got this handbag made by her kid. Then we go back to Tan, who's with Ayo Edebiri. Talk about her speeches being famous on TikTok. She's from the Bear. She talks about how she freaks out. She writes speeches, freaks out, so she does these off-the-cuff ones, which are doing really well. Then we go back to Elaine, who's with Taylor Zakar Perez, who's the SAG ambassador. And they're giving out the first awards on the red carpet, which was interesting. So they were giving out the stunt award. So the first one they gave was for the stunt ensemble, and that was given to The Last of Us. And then the second stunt ensemble for a film was for Mission Impossible. So I picked that one if you listened to our preview episode. So I was very happy with that pick. So that was good. But then we go back to Tan, who's talking about Streisand and how they did an interview with her earlier in the week, and she talks about the vulnerability of actors and insecurities. And we're back to the carpet where Tan's with Joey King. Random. So she's talking about her new show. It's a story of the Holocaust survivors coming out March. It's called We Were the Lucky Ones. And then she says that she's Perez's plus one, which is interesting as well. Then we go back to Elaine, who's with Kieran Culkin, who's a double nominee. She's taken her shoes off because her feet are killing her. We talk about Kieran Culkin, and it was a really awkward sort of speech where they talk about his brooch and his watch and his rings. And then we're back to Tan, who's with Billie Eilish and Phineas. Talk about her presenting. She says she doesn't get nervous performing anymore, but she's a little bit worried about presenting. Says her album's finished. Cool. Then we go back to Elaine, who's with Lily Gladstone. She talk about the film Killers of the Flower Moon and how it should be taught in history classes. We get more style cam. And Lily Gladstone's talking up Killers of the Flower Moon about it being an epic that we don't sort of see in film anymore. They also talk about it being a lot of firsts for ladies at this ceremony as well. Then we get Quinta Brunson walks over from Abbott Elementary. We get the style cam. She talks about how short she is in height. She talks about working behind the camera too. Then we're back to Tan, who's with Kiara, the artist, who's nominated for The Colour Purple. They talk about her doing more roles. It's her dream. She loves music and movies. She's got 4 kids. How good does she look? Blah, blah, blah. And more music coming soon as well. Then we're back to Elaine, who's with Brett Goldstein from Ted Lasso. We get the style cam. He drops a couple of F-bombs, swears quite a bit. I think she's a little bit taken back. Then we go back to Tan, who's with Louisa Jacobson from The Gilded Age. Talk about season 3 being picked up. She's happy to see all the castmates, and she brings Alex Borstein over from The Marvelous Miss Maisel. And then this was an interesting moment. This is where Tan tries to do a cross to the awards, which wasn't supposed to happen. And I was really impressed with Alex Borstein, who really helped him out, started talking about her dress and funny actor moments. That's where the cut was supposed to be. So really good job from Alex Borstein to help him out. So then we get this, they talk about funny actor moments. They talk about their top 3 outfits of the night: Ali Wong, Margot Robbie, and Coleman Domingo for Elaine. And then we talk about Tan, who's this Billie Eilish, Isa Rae, and I couldn't get the last one, so that was interesting. Then we start off with this I Am an Actor intro to the show where Michael Cera walks towards Coleman Domingo. He keeps walking. Then we cut to Hannah Waddingham, who's inside the room. She's walking, she's talking. Then we get to Idris Elba, who is sort of like the host of the show, I guess. He gets on stage, does the welcome, talks about it being the first award show on Netflix, does a few jokes, talks about, can't wait for Netflix to recommend the SAG Awards to him, which was quite funny. And then, talks about swearing, control ourselves, makes an Oprah joke, mentions the strike, thanks everyone who stood up. And then we sort of cut to the performance or a montage of all the best moments of the year with the Barbie song over the top. Then we come back to Idris Elba, who brings on stage Meryl Streep, who's there to present the first award, but she's forgotten her glasses and her envelope. And Hathaway and Emily Blunt bring it out for her. So a reunion of the Devil Wears Prada cast. The award that they're presenting is the male actor in a comedy. We see the clips, and the award goes to Jeremy Allen White from The Bear. He does his speech, acknowledges the cast, talks about wanting to act, no backup plan. And then, really short, sweet, we're into the next award where Issa Rae and Glenn Powell on stage. It's for the female actor in a television show, and we've got Ali Wong winning, which was our Netflix nomination we spoke about. She thanks the cast of Beef, thanks Netflix for allowing her to do her stand-up specials as well, and also her 83-year-old mother who's in the room. So that was a nice, sweet little moment too. All right, let's keep moving. So Margot Robbie gets on stage with America Ferrera, and this is where they do a discussion around the film Barbie. So we're going to see these for all the best ensemble casts for the films. They show the clip of Barbie. Then we go to Tan, who's actually backstage. So they're going to do some backstage interviews with the winners after. He's with Jeremy Allen White. He was talking about his win and how he was surprised that Meryl Streep and Anne Hathaway were there. Talks about getting nervous, doesn't write anything down for his speeches. One nice little sentence. Then we go back to the room, back to the awards, where we've got Billie Eilish and Melissa McCarthy on stage. Melissa McCarthy completely takes this over. She tries to be humorous, talks about meeting Billie Eilish and, wants her to sign her dress. Doesn't want to, so signs her face instead. So that was quite funny. So this award that they're presenting is for the female comedy series. So Ao Edebiri wins for The Bear. She gets up really grateful, really nervous. She does some James Baldwin quote. Thanks to the Bear crew from the TV show. Just a little bit awkward. I think she was super nervous. Then we get Erica Alexander, Sterling K. Brown, Tracy Alice Ross, and Jeffrey Wright to introduce American fiction. And then we get the clip from the film before we're back on stage with Phil Dunster and Storm Reed, who talk about they both went to USC where the awards are held. They're doing the male drama series. We see the clips, and a bit of a surprise for the night is Pedro Pascal wins for The Last of Us. He gets up, he mentions that he's been drinking a little bit because he didn't think he was going to win. Talks about having a bit of a panic attack and leaves the stage, so that was quite funny. Then we're backstage with Tan, who's with Ao. She's still freaking out, terrified, shaking. The award's too heavy for her to hold. Really, really awkward. And we're back to the room where we've got Lord of the Rings. Like, this clip plays before Elijah Wood and Sean Astin come onto the stage and talk about their win 20 years ago before giving out the Female Actor Supporting Role award. And we see the clips, and this goes to Davine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers, which was no surprise there. She's got a speech written on a piece of paper, which was the first for the night. Talks about being humble, talks about grief in her performance, how life can change in a day as well. Then we've got Robert De Niro, Lily Gladstone, and Tantoon Cardinal, who are in the middle stage to introduce Killers of the Flower Moon before the clip. Then we get back on stage for Greta Lee and Troy Kotzer on stage. So Troy Kotzer, most of you would remember from Coda signing his performance, so that was really cool. He signs and congratulates about past lives, and then we see him signing and thinking about Coda and talking about intimate personal stories. Then we have Best Male Actor for the TV or limited series. Stephen Yeun wins for Beef as well. Takes the envelopes, thanks the cast and Netflix and his family as well. And he talks about how he got his first SAG actor card with a Milky Way commercial. And he thanks his acting coach too. We go back to Tan backstage with Pedro Pascal, who's like sort of in shock. There's some weird sort of jokes made. Talks about Kieran Culkin. Pedro Pascal's talking about how he doesn't remember what he actually said when he won his award. So quite humorous. And then Stephen Yeun walks in too, and backstage, just a nice little random moment, I guess. We're back onto the main stage. We've got a montage of wins for Seinfeld, Friends, Sex and the City, Orange is the New Black, The Office, Modern Family, etc. And then we get the cast of Modern Family on stage. They talk about 11 seasons, which is quite good. So then we get the ensemble comedy clips. The Bear wins, the cast on stage, whole bunch of people speak. Then we're backstage talking about Barbara Streisand again. And then little clips of all these actors talking about Streisand before Jennifer Aniston gets on stage to actually introduce Barbara Streisand. Talks about the stage that they're actually on was where Streisand had her first concert in 1963, and she debuted in the film Funny Girls, and lists off all her films, and the first woman to write, produce, direct a major studio film, and then also the first woman to win the Golden Globe Best Director too. So then we get Bradley Cooper also comes out. He talks some more. We get some more clips with the song Don't Rain on My Parade playing in the background, and then Streisand's on stage to get her Life Achievement Award. She talks about it being a great award because, you're going to get it. You don't have to sit there waiting nervously. She talks about being a SAG member for 60 years, talks about Guys and Dolls, Marlon Brando, her first crush, about never going to college, talks about, she makes lots of connections about people fleeing places like Europe, and all of the founders of the Hollywood studios escaping trouble in Europe too, and she dreams of Prejudice being a thing of the past. So that's quite nice. She talks about this current French film that she still really enjoys, does a thank you, and then we're back to Idris on stage, our almost host. Talks about how he won an award 8 years ago. His daughter was there. Then he won another one for Luther, rare for 2 wins, and he sort of introduces the Best Male Supporting Actor in a Motion Picture. So we get the clips, and then we've got Robert Downey Jr. with the win. Surprise, not really. Talks about why him now. He's makes a joke about he's never going to tire from his own voice. Lists the name of people that have worked with Nolan before in these great performances, and then he puts his wife's name in there too. Sort of makes a joke about her putting up with him. Nice short little speech. And then the worst moment of the night for me is where Fran Drescher gets on stage. Now, we all know how big a part she played in the recent strikes, the Hollywood strikes, but I don't know. I just felt like if the people in the room were actually feeling her and had appreciated the work that she'd done, they would have given her more, because the shots we were getting of the faces were very confused. She does thank people of SAG, the members, surviving the strike. She just goes on and on and on. And she does this little moment about AI entrapping us, just their faces, oh man. And then she does mention female leadership, but there were moments she sounded like a robot herself, so that was a really weird moment for me of the night. Then we get Alexander Skarsgård and Omar Sy come out, they hold hands, make a joke. They're doing the female actor for the drama series, Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, a Netflix win. Wasn't expecting it. She wings her speech. She wasn't expecting it either, obviously, so that was nice. Then we've got Tan back out backstage interviewing Lisa Ann Walter from Abbott Elementary. Random. Talks about having a good night. She talks about some NFL joke, and then this is another poor moment, I guess, where they say, the SAG camera crew have been filming her conversations all day. She's been mic'd up, and it's like this lame, candid camera sort of thing on the red carpet, and it just went on so long. So that was pretty ordinary. Then we get another montage of 30 years of winning. So we've got NYPD Blue, ER, Sopranos, West Wing, Mad Men, Downton Abbey, Breaking Bad, etc. And they bring out the Breaking Bad cast for their 10th anniversary. They do like each letter of the ensemble as a joke. And then we got the Drama Series Award, which goes to Succession, which was no surprise. The cast gets up. Alan Tuck speaks. So Alan Tuck from Ferris Bueller's Day Off, for those that remember that film. Talks about the season was like their last hurrah. And then we get down on that middle little stage, our last sort of film introduction for Oppenheimer, where we've got Emily Blunt, Robert Downey Jr. and Cillian Murphy introducing it with a clip. We cut back to the main stage where Naomi Watts is there, and she does the in memoriam moment. Some names, like a lot of people unfortunately passed away in the last 12 months, but David McCollum from NCIS, we've got Julian Sands, Michael Gabon from Harry Potter series, Tina Turner, Paul Rubens. We obviously, one of our first episodes was a Pee-wee film, so Paul Rubens as well. We've got Lance Reddick, the guy from Parasite, Alan Arkin, Carl Weathers, Tom Wilkinson, Matthew Perry, Harry Belafonte, a whole bunch of people that have passed away, which was a nice little segment. Then we cut back and we get another montage of films and actors, and Tom Hanks, and for Forrest Gump, Jamie Foxx, Denzel Washington, Joaquin Phoenix. Before we finish on last year's winner, Brendan Fraser, who comes out on stage to give out the best male actor for a film. And Cillian Murphy from Oppenheimer wins that. So he talks about Oppenhomies again. So I'm glad we got that context on the red carpet from him about what that was. Talks about Nolan. Talks about he was he's a failed musician. Interesting. Nice little moment, I guess. Before we do have one more film, The Color Purple. I forgot about that film where we've got Danielle Brooks, Halle Bailey, Taja P. Henson introduce The Color Purple with their clip. And then we get the same sort of montage for female winners before Jessica Chastain comes out on stage to present the award. She talks about Jodie Foster being in the room, and 30 years ago she won the first Best Actress SAG Award. And obviously Jessica Chastain won it 2 years ago. So the winner for this one is Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. So that was nice for her to get up. She talks in Blackfeet. She talks about telling stories and emotional stories. I think this was the only award where we had a photo of someone nominated. They weren't actually in the room. That was for Annette Bening, so that was an interesting little pick up there too. Then we go backstage where Tan's with Divine Joy. She's thankful. Random that he tells her that he watched The Holdovers on an aeroplane. Talks about her being on Broadway. Talks about Paul Giamatti being so good. Then we're back inside. So we've got the cast award. We've got the old wins. Gina Davis and Jeff Goldblum get up on stage. They talk about when they did a film that the SAG Awards weren't around when they did a film together. And the big award of the night goes to Oppenheimer. So Kenneth Branagh, he speaks on behalf of the cast, which was nice. Sort of talks about how when the film premiered, it was sort of the first night of the strike, and that was the last time the cast were all together. They walked out of the premiere to be on strike with the rest of Hollywood, and it talks about it being a full circle moment. So that was nice too. Then Idris Elba comes back out to close the show. He's got glasses on, looking like a cool cat. Sort of talks about Netflix, can replay it and watch him being funny again. And then we get the credits, and that's the end of the show. So good little wrap up there. Overall, I think not too bad a show. I think Netflix did a really good job in their first sort of live awards broadcast. A few little bits and pieces. The red carpet worked fairly well. Like, it's a live sort of thing, so you get that. I'm not sure about the style cam. I'm not sure about those backstage interviews in between. I know that they're talking about it being, no ad breaks, so you've got to actually have breaks in the room to reset stages, get people at toilet breaks, that sort of stuff. So I guess that sort of works, but other than that, no real big surprises on the night. Apart from Pedro Pascal, I guess. That was a big surprise. Oppenheimer clearly now in the lead for the Oscars in a couple of weeks' time, which we will do a preview episode on very, very shortly. As always, we're on socials. We've got X, formerly known as Twitter. We've got Instagram and Facebook. Give us a follow, give us a like. Just hit us up and let us know, what did you think of the broadcast? Was it a good broadcast? Did Netflix do a good job? I think for their first time doing it live, the red carpet was a little bit glitchy at times, but apart from that, the actual ceremony ran pretty well. And I thought Idris Elba was a great choice to sort of sit there in between all the awards too. All right, we've got a huge back catalogue. Give us a listen, give us a download. Netflix original films, we're there. As always, thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.